so good to see you again here on another little mini live episode preview of the H.E.A.R retreat. I'm Dr. Lilach, host of the All About Audiology podcast. And listen, today we're talking about advocacy and how we can talk and speak up for our children and talk to people about what our needs are, what our children's needs are. Advocacy is one of these big words that's like heavy and scary. Like, how do I become an advocate? Like, is advocacy this really scary over there kind of murky activism? Like, I'm just trying to be a mom for my kid. Like, sometimes we kind of hear that role, like, you are now to be an advocate, and it can be really scary. It can be really overwhelming, especially when you yourself are just starting out and just learning and, like, still kind of overwhelmed and pulled by this riptide of information and, like, what? And now I have to explain it to other people. I have to tell other people in my family what the audiologist said, what the doctor said, what do we need to do? So let's just start there, that it really is an overwhelming and big ask. It's really a big task. You are tasked with advocating for your child, and that is not an easy thing to do. Well, thank you everyone for joining on Facebook as well as on Instagram. Hi. This is going to be live in both places and then recorded and saved as well. And I just want to hear from you. When you hear the word advocacy, become an advocate, what kind of feelings does that stir up in you? Do you feel like that's like, yes, look at me, empowerment type? Are you like, no, who gave me this job? Take it back. I didn't ask for this. Or anything else? What kind of feelings or thoughts do you have? Think about that. Think about that for a minute. Type in the chat or in the comments. Even if you're watching this later on in the recording, I'd love to hear what this is for you. And if that word, like, does something for you emotionally, or, like, do you get tight about that word, like nervous about it? Or is it like, okay, I got this. Now I'm in charge. Let's go. Or anything else from those choices, right? So I think that one of the really important things to take away about advocacy, and we're going to talk about this more and more throughout the retreat, especially on the day of advocacy, is that your responsibilities are to yourself, first and foremost, always, and what you feel is right and good and safe, and for your children, family, the other people that you have a responsibility to, a relationship with, and no one else. Not the principal, not the doctor, not the other moms at the playground, and, certainly not strangers on the internet and Facebook groups, or, people leaving comments on your social media or pictures of your kid. All those other people, they are outside of you and your child, you and your family. In your sphere of influence, control, and responsibility, right? You're there, that's over there, and this is over here. And when you kind of make that as a starting point for yourself, then you start to say, okay, I see now. It takes some of the pressure off of, making sure that everybody else sees and understands and is really on board. And no, a lot of other people are not going to understand. A lot of other people are not going to be on board. That is, unfortunately, a big part of life, especially when you have a child who needs certain things, and you have to make certain decisions, and you need support and access and all the things you need. Not everyone is going to get where you're coming from or what you need. And so when you kind of let go of this feeling like you now need to educate the world, not right now, maybe later, and maybe over time, and maybe through relationships and through connection, that will happen. But remember that your primary responsibility is to come back here, come back into yourself, into your body and your needs, and as well as doing that for your child, so that not everybody needs to agree with you to do what you're requesting, to fulfill the IEP goals, right? right? And maybe their teacher, there's not going to be their favorite student, or this is not going to be their favorite IEP meeting. But if you are focused on what is actually the goal, getting your child what they deserve, what they need, and really speaking up for them, then, that's already a different mindset going into advocacy. So I love the comments here on Instagram. That advocacy to me means understanding that you might not have all the answers, but you will be there regardless if you don't understand. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. Listen, you do not need to know everything. And guess what? You won't know everything. There's no such thing. And no other person also knows everything. Everyone is on a journey learning things and taking information from the people around them and researching and diving in and learning from as many people as you can and trying to get varied information. I have to say, and not out of, from full humility as a professional, as a doctor of audiology that went to school for 8+ years, I'm learning things every single day. Okay, and I have changed my position and my stance and my beliefs throughout this time. I actually have a really exciting upcoming episode series with a few different people, all about how I've kind of gone through a shift on this big debate between auditory verbal therapy, LSL, and ASL, as if these are two totally different things that have nothing to do with each other, and there's only these two factions and camps, whatever. So, even the idea that there's two extremes here that are at odds, that are at war, that perspective, I have shifted from that, and I've changed and seen different things. So, yeah, that's coming. And so, even I'm not, I don't want to sound like I'm, even me, but yes, even me. Uh-oh. Hold on, I'm fixing this Instagram situation. Sorry, you guys are falling over. Yeah, so even someone who has, intense, academic experience and clinical experience and working with patients and all the things, we don't know everything. Let me be the first one to say. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you so much. About the idea that we don't have all the answers, but you're still going to be there. You're going to show up. You're going to learn. You're going to ask the questions. And then you're going to listen to the answers. And you might like them, you might not. But take them in. Process. Yes. Huge. Thank you so much for that comment. Also, Cav over here mentioned that advocacy is speaking on behalf of another person. And I think that's a really important point, that at first, as a parent, you are needing to speak for this teeny tiny ball of cells that developed into a human. Whoa. Congratulations to my sister who just had a baby today. So we're still in, wow, basking in the joy of children, babies. This is unbelievable. They incubate for 9 months and then they're just born and they're beautiful and it's unbelievable. Such a miracle. So yes, right? We have to speak on behalf of these people. The children are not going to feed themselves or take care of themselves. We have a real responsibility on the basic foundational level of caring for an infant's survival needs. And then as they grow, more of their needs, emotional needs, psychological needs, and the connection, the communication, the community, all that stuff. Wow, it's such a big role. It's such a big job being a parent. And, we do have to speak on behalf of, and then as they grow and with time, we also give them the skills for self-advocacy, being able to speak for themselves, and that is coming as well. So I really, as you can see, can get very passionate, very excited about giving you, the parent, some of that tools and that confidence to know that you can speak up for your child, that you can insist and be assertive about their needs and what is going to happen next, whether that is coming at a medical situation, like with a doctor. Can you disagree with a doctor? Yes, you can. In case you didn't know this, it took me a long time to learn that myself in my personal life as a parent. It'd be well, the doctor said this and the doctor said that, and even before the O.D, even before I had kids, during pregnancy, do we do this test? Do we do that test? Do we, all those things? Who gets to decide? So we want to have respect for the medical community and appreciation for all of the research and knowledge that each professional has. but not to diminish your opinion and your thoughts and your journey and your questions. So you're going to say, if you receive a recommendation, then you get to say, well, is there a reason you're making that recommendation specifically? Would it be different if we were talking next year? Like, to follow further up on getting the doctor to explain to you why they say that. What is their rationale? What are they seeing? What factors are they taking into account? So you can really get an understanding of that. I know I'm a little bit kind of jumping, but I think it's super, super important that when we find our own voice and power and truth for ourselves, then we're also doing that with our kids. And guess what? It's not like either or. Like, pause, children, 1 minute. I have to be on my own healing journey. Nope, you get to do it together. Parallel. You're growing while they're growing together, and you do this. And they are incentivizing your growth, and together it really becomes a beautiful thing. Again, speaking from experience. Our children are our biggest mirrors, right? Like, we see ourselves in them. Sometimes that's scary. We're like, oh my gosh, the words that just came out of their mouth or an action that they did, it's like, that was totally me. So that's those are some of the thoughts I have on advocacy, and I hope that you join the H.E.A.R retreat starting on July 12th. There's a link to join to get all the reminder emails. We're meeting at 1 p.m. Eastern every day for 7 days. And each day we dive into another aspect of the H.E.A.R method, history, emotion, advocacy, and reconnect. And I cannot wait to see you there. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for Instagram. Thanks for Facebook. Bye.